Hi all, welcome to our first topic, what is economics? We'll be going through some, but not all of the content for this section. Make sure that you do take some useful notes because you will need to refer back to them in class when we do exercises. Economics is largely about choices. Every choice or decision we make involves trade-offs, alternatives that we can no longer do when we make that choice. For example, when you choose to study at home, you may be giving up extra sleep or gaming. In this section, we'll be referring to opportunity cost, which is the best alternative you give up when making a choice. So the cost you have for an extra hour of study may be an hour of sleep if that's the best alternative of your time. We say that every choice has a cost because things are scarce. We can't have everything. We need to make decisions. But is everything scarce? Not always. When a good has some scarcity, it means that something must be sacrificed for it. It has an opportunity cost. These are called economic goods. Think of something that you buy. In contrast, there are what we call free goods, so abundant that they have no opportunity cost. They are free in terms of opportunity cost. Clean air would be a free good in a small country town like Meadows, Australia, where I live, but would have some scarcity value in a Chinese megacity, like over here. Now, a free good isn't to be confused. A free good isn't to be confused with one we get free of charge, like medical care in Australia. Scarce resources are used to create that medical care, so it does have scarcity value and therefore an opportunity cost. Now, economists love to work with models, so we're going to look at our first economic model here, the production possibilities curve. Now, this can show trade-offs, opportunity costs, and two of our key concepts, scarcity and efficiency. In this model, we're going to assume, and economists love making assumptions, we're going to assume that an economy can only make two goods. In this case, cots and iPhones. And yes, I did come up with this while I was trying to get my baby to sleep a few years ago. We have data here for how many we can possibly produce at each combination, A through H. I want you to graph this with cots on the y-axis and iPhones on the x-axis. If you do it roughly to scale, that will be fine. It needs to be nice and big, maybe a third of the page. Okay, pause now and have a go. Here is mine. As you can see, I was only roughly to scale, but it doesn't really matter. We can still see the ideas here. The trade-off of producing cots is that you're giving up iPhones. And as we've assumed here that's the only alternative, that means that it's therefore the opportunity cost. It's the best alternative. If we are at point E and the opportunity cost of moving to point F is 6 cots. So if we want to make those 2 extra iPhones going from 8 to 10, we have to give up making 6 cots. Now these points represent our production possibilities. So therefore, to operate beyond these points must be impossible. With our current resources, it is not possible. And operating at a point inside the curve is not producing as much as possible. And this therefore represents inefficiency and resources not being employed to their potential. Therefore, anything on the curve is considered efficient. Now we're going to go off course just a little bit. We've got a special type of PPC that we need to be aware of. So the two goods here are omelettes and quiches. Now, if you're familiar with what an omelette and a quiche is, you can sort of see them there. You know that they use the same resources for both of them, like eggs, ham, that sort of stuff. This gives us constant opportunity costs, as the resources for making omelettes can easily be adapted to making quiches. One extra quiche here will always cost us 2 omelettes, and one extra omelette will always cost us half a quiche. Plotting this out would give us a straight line PPC, so different from the one you drew before. That's actually quite uncommon. But this is called constant opportunity cost. The opportunity cost stays constant along the curve. We will, that's a straight line, very uncommon. Now we'll compare that to a more regular example here. So we're going to use omelette still, but with toy cars this time. These goods share very few resources in their production, use different things. So we can see here, as we move from A to B, we only forego one omelette. We aren't using many of the good omelette making resources to make this first toy car. But moving from D to E to make again one toy car, we're giving up a lot. We give up 10 omelettes because now we're using all our best omelette making resources to make the toy car. The opportunity cost increases as we make more of either good. This gives us a bowed out shape, a concave shape of PPC, and that's like the one you drew before. Now, I want you to take a look at these two sets of goods and think to yourself, which one would have the straight line PPC? Now, I'm sure you all said peaches and apricots because their resources are so similar. The soil, the climate, the farmer, so similar that my grandfather did grow both on his commercial farm in the Barossa Valley. Toy trains and plush toys obviously use somewhat different resources and therefore they would have increasing opportunity cost. So we can see that stays quite constant, whereas the opportunity cost here increases. We mentioned efficiency briefly earlier, but we'll get a bit more specific here. We've got two types of efficiency. Is that dot doing that? We've got productive efficiency, and that's when goods are being produced in the least costly way, using the fewest possible resources. It's what we generally think of when we think of the term efficiency. It's when the production is a point on the PPC, as we saw before, anywhere on the PPC. Allocative efficiency is when production is what is most desired by society, both in terms of what's being produced and also how much of that is being produced. Just wait. Is combination A efficient? Oops. Combination A is definitely productively efficient as it occurs on the PPC. We know that's efficient. However, it's highly unlikely that society would prefer more denim underwear than jeans. Unless I'm just too old to know what's cool anymore. Now, moving on. Economies are not static, economies change, they're dynamic. So that's what makes studying economics so much fun. So this means we need to look at how changes in the world can change the production possibilities curve. There are three things that will shift to PPC: a change in the resource quantity, a change in resource quality, and a change in technology. Okay, let's look at a couple of examples. Back to toy cars and omelettes. What happens if there's an increase in population? There's an increase in population. We can make more toy cars and more omelettes than previously because we have a greater quantity of resources. The people that we use are resources. So the whole curve shifts outwards. If we devote all of our attention to toy cars, we can produce more. If we devote all of our attention to producing omelettes, we can produce more. Now, what if there is a technological improvement in egg beating? Some sort of electrified egg beater. This helps us make more omelettes, but it won't help us with toy cars. So the PPC will only increase on the omelette axis only. This confuses students sometimes as they look here and they say, well, but wait, we can make more toy cars as well. What we need to consider is that on the y-axis, where all resources are devoted to toy cars, we can't make any more than before. Introducing electric egg beaters does not make us better at making toy cars. Whereas on the x-axis, when all resources are devoted to omelets, the egg beater does help us. We can make more. So we'll be going through lots of these examples in class to help us all get up to speed. I know a lot of you have seen this before, but that's fine. That's good even. Lastly, we'll do a quick introduction to the economic problem so that we have just some familiarity with it before class. So the fundamental problem of economics, why the study of economics exists, is that our wants are unlimited, but our resources are limited. This means that we have many choices to make about how we use our scarce resources. We've only got so much in this world, in this universe even. We've got to make choices to how to fulfill our wants and needs. We've got 4 types of resources. I talked about resources in general ways, but we can classify them into 4 types. So here we've got our land. They are the natural resources. So not just physical space, but think of like trees, animals, waterways. They're all natural resources. Labor is the physical and mental effort of people put towards the production of goods and services. I think we all know what that means. Capital, this term confuses people a bit, but here just refers to the man-made factors of production that are put towards production of goods and services. So things like tools, machinery, infrastructure, so roads and etc. They're what we refer to as capital. And entrepreneurship is considered a resource. It's the skill of taking risk, combining those other factors of production in innovative ways that couldn't be done before. So we're going to come back to these in class, so don't worry. But this leads us to the 3 fundamental economic questions that every society has to answer. What goods and services should an economy produce? How should goods and services be produced? And for whom should the goods and services be produced? This is all based on the scarcity that we have. We've got to make these decisions. Who gets the stuff that we make? How do we best make it? And what should we actually make? We're going to revisit everything we've seen here in class. So if you're a bit worried, you've seen a lot. If you're a bit worried, there's plenty of time and assistance to get your understanding to where it needs to be. We won't leave you behind. So thank you.